I love decorative stitches, and the Singer Confidence Quilter Model 7469Q has a ton of decorative stitches that you can stitch out. We talk about a stitch book throughout our videos, and that's what I've kind of just started doing, having some fun stitching out each of the stitches, because tell you what, they look so much better stitched out in thread. And I did a little bit in and with some variegated thread here, and they do look so fun. But I'm going to show you a couple tricks along the way. But before I do that, I'm going to remind you that we have an online course called our Stitching Cosmos online course. We do decorative stitches, we do accessory feet, and if you really want to take your stitching up a notch, we are going to teach you everything that you can do with your machine. So check out the links below where we're going to teach you how to make the ultimate stitch book, some tricks along the way, and what you can do even when you don't think you have a lot of stitches with this machine, but you really do. So first off, no matter where you start, I just jumped right in because I'm like, ooh, I wonder what that stitch looks like. So if I want to stitch out stitch number 37, I'm going to just find, as I move my stitch numbers around, I can just put my presser foot down. I usually just guide myself next to what I've already stitched, and I'll just go ahead and stitch it out at full speed. Now, when you want it to lock at the end while you're sewing, you can touch the reverse button and it'll do just some extra locking stitches and then stop. And my foot is actually still on the foot control. So I'll just kind of take it out and show you what we have here. I can cut those stitches nice and close because they did lock at the very end. But let's take a look at these stitches. See how the machine is leaving some gaps between the stitches? I am going to show you just how to make these look a little bolder by shortening up the stitch length on the machine. And you can actually change the look of stitches by spreading them out. Like this one, we could spread out, but the satin stitches we could push together and make them look more bold. So since the machine doesn't know what thickness of thread I'm using, I'm going to first take a few stitches and decide if the machine is still moving forward, but with a shorter, more tight stitch length. I don't want to get it too close that it actually starts to pile up. Now, if I do want to lengthen it out, you're going to definitely find where the longer stitch length would change it to a whole different look. Let me go back to that Greek key. That was 63, so I'm going to take my plus here up to 60 and down to 63 with a longer stitch length, so you can see that it really is a whole different stitch if you start to play around with the length and even the width of the stitch. So we could actually stop and even adjust this to be a narrower version of this stitch. And it might not look great, but we can always try it. You never know until you actually try out the different stitches. Oh, I love that. I'm going to just pull it out. I'm not going to use the reverse button, but I do love that as a way to really secure the last couple stitches. So you can see the difference. This is where I shortened up the stitch length from what it was with the default setting. Here's what it looked like when I lengthened it out. See how much it just really changed. It doesn't even look like the same stitch. And then here is the original stitch lengthened out, and here it is made closer together, so not as wide. So we can change, like look, there's 3 different stitch looks with the same exact stitch. So that's something we talk about with our sewing out our stitch book, is how many different varieties do you think you can get with just one stitch? So definitely go in. I did use a different foot. I used the foot N that comes with this machine. Foot N has a big cutout here, so when I do get those stitches so close together, there's a place for them to run out the back side. I could have also used the open toe foot that came with this machine. That's another way to really see where you're going without that little part in front of the foot kind of in your way. Even though it is clear, there's days where I like a completely open foot for this to work. So either one of these feet would be ideal for stitching out all your decorative stitches. So if you're going to go stitch out a stitch book right now, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out all the videos that we have done on this beautiful Singer Confidence Quilter Model 7469.